Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Rancor Exotics, and today we're going to be talking about snake bites. Now, if you're a new hobby, if you're someone new in the hobby and you want to pick up a snake, let's say a baby ball python, and you're worried about snake bites, I really don't think bites are really an issue. Now, of course, they might scare you and they might startle you. However, at the end of the day, there's really no damage done. Now, there's two things you can do to minimize getting bit, because even though it's really a non-issue, it still kind of sucks, right? So the first thing you can do is be confident in your motion when you're trying to pick up a snake. Understand that when a snake is in its enclosure, that is its safe space, and you're trying to pull that snake out of that safe space. It has reason to be angry. And if it's a younger snake that's inexperienced, or it's just a cranky snake, it will try to defend itself with the only thing it's got, and that is its mouth, and it will strike at you. When I'm saying be confident in your motion when picking it up, I'm saying is if you stick your hand into its enclosure to pick up, say, that baby ball python, and it strikes at you and you pull your hand back, but now the snake recalls back, also you're going to go pick it up again, and it strikes at you, so you pull your hand back, the snake is going to see that. It's going to see you doing this at its face. That to a noodle with a head, that's scary. You know, you're a big, the snake sees you as a big predator, and you know, you're coming at it and then you're backing up. You're coming at it and then you're backing up, and that's stressing the hell out of the snake. What I'm saying is, when you open up that snake, even though it will bite you, be smart. Come at the snake from behind. You know, make sure the snake is looking away from your hand, and you kind of reach in from the back, grab them center mass, and you pull them out. Now, while it's in your hand, here's the second thing that you can do to reduce the risk of bites, and that is understanding snake behavior. When you pull a snake out of its enclosure, sometimes a snake mellows out immediately. Sometimes a snake is still snappy and they still hate you, and it's not because you have a thin beard or you wear a stupid hat. They hate you because you just pulled it out of its safe space and it's trying to get away from you, and they'll still try to bite you. Here's where it's important to keep the snake's mouth away from your face. Don't be staring at it, and don't be thinking, oh, it's so cute when it's trying to bite you. Keep it away from your face. You know, keep it away from your face. If it's striking at you or trying to strike at your face, it's fine because it doesn't have enough reach, and just hold on to that snake. It's important for you to hold on even though it's you know, a tiny whirlwind in your hand, hating everything. Because if you put that snake back after it makes this scene, the snake comes to understand that, hey, if I strike and I huff and I puff, this guy or this lady is gonna put me back into my safe space, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Next time they pick me up, I'm gonna make a racket again and they'll put me back. It's great. And so what you need to do is, even though they're huffy and they're puffy and it's trying to bite you, hold on to that snake for 10-15 minutes. If it looks like it's gonna bite your hand, you know, move it around and keep your hands away from it. Keep it away from you. Very soon the snake will come to understand, within those 10-15 minutes that session's gonna last, that you are not there to hurt the snake, and you're really an indifferent force to the snake. And the snake will then in turn be indifferent towards you, because the snake is still a wild animal. You know, it's not like a dog or a cat where you can tame it. The snake comes to understand that there's no point in wasting calories or wasting energy and trying to defend itself from a non-existent threat. So when the snake understands that, instead of trying to bite you, it'll tend to squirm and try to get away from you. Just be tentative to, you know, handle the snake properly and to support its weight wherever it goes. So now let's talk about the bites. Let's say you do get bit, and the bites come in two distinct flavors. The worst flavor is a food motivated bite. That's when the snake thinks that you're food and they bite you. It might have been because the snake is hungry and your hand was there, and they're gonna bite and they're going to coil. If it's a constrictor like a ball python, they're gonna bite and they're gonna wrap, and they do that very quickly. It's important in this type of scenario that you do not rip the snake off of you, because ball pythons in particular, and other snakes, have very thin teeth, and if you rip that snake off, two things are going to happen, and both suck. First is the snake is gonna, the teeth are going to break off, and they're going to be embedded in your skin, so you're going to have to pull those teeth out. Second is the snake's teeth are all shattered, and that's great grounds for an infection. And so you don't want to go to the vet, explain to them that you freaked out, broke all the snake's teeth, and now has an oral infection that they're going to have to treat with injections, and it's going to rack up a hell of a bill. And that is the worst. It's not that it's going to hurt you or that it's gonna be the end of the world for you. It sucks because if you don't handle it right, the person coming out losing is the health of the snake and your wallet. So if a snake like a ball python does bite and does wrap, you can run the head of the snake, maybe if they bite your finger, hold it under the sink, under some cold water. They'll let go almost immediately. If that doesn't work, even though it usually does, you can grab some hand sanitizer and put some on their gums, and they will let go, because hand sanitizer tastes like shit, and snakes really don't like the taste of it, and they'll let go almost immediately with all their teeth intact. You might have to hustle them a little bit to get them off of you. However, that's all it is. For you, it's a great big surprise. Probably scares the shit out of you. It scares me when the one time it happened. However, it's really a non-issue. You can avoid these type of bites by simply not holding your snake or being careless around them when there are prey items in the room, or if you have the smell of prey items on your hand. If you go out and you have a pet rabbit and you're playing with your pet rabbit and you're like, oh man, I gotta go pet my ball python for whatever reason, your snake is gonna pick up on that scent, and if they're food motivated enough, they'll bite you. And is it really their fault? So you gotta be careful. Now, the second flavor of bite is a defensive bite. This usually comes from a snake that's a baby, has a snake that doesn't have very much experience with people and handling, or a snake that might have some type of trauma, as in, maybe, like they were hurt by a person, or there was, some kind of very negative interaction between that snake and a human, and it kind of ticked them off. And sometimes it can be all those three things, or a combination of them at once, right? A lot like a baby ball python, it's an experience with people, and it's small, so the world is big and scary. The good part about this type of bite is that it's really non-painful. They'll bite you and they'll let go almost immediately. You'll probably feel it like a pin tack, not even really. It's kind of like bam. Less of a surprise because they bit you and let go, so you're not really freaking out, but you're like, what the hell, right? You think that the snake loves you, but it ends up being that they hate your guts. That probably hurts more. So this is where handling the snake becomes the big thing to prevent this type of bite, because the more experience this snake has with you, with people, with humans, they become indifferent, and being indifferent is probably the best you're gonna get out of a snake. Snakes are not meant to cuddle with. Snakes, really don't. I don't even think snakes understand that there's a difference between other people, right? I'm sure that snakes won't be able to tell you apart from your sister or your mom, right? So snakes with enough handling experience, they become indifferent towards you. When you're handling, like when you first start handling your, say, a ball python, or any type of other snake, that once you start that taming regimen, when you go pick up that snake and it's huffing and puffing and it's absolutely angry at you and it's insulting your fashion sense and its head, not to put the snake back, because that snake understands then that if they throw a fuss, a large enough fuss, that they'll get put back into their safe space and they want to go back to their hides. They don't care for you, they want to go back to safety. So you gotta hold them through that grumpy period, and then they come to understand, there's no point throwing a fuss, there's no point throwing bites, because whatever I do, it won't matter. 15 minutes is, I'm gonna have to be out here for 10-15 minutes while for the handling session. Tough luck. Usually they switch off from defensive mode to exploration mode. Corn snakes become very wiggly and they move around quite a lot. My ball pythons just kind of tend to plop on my hand, and they're I love ball pythons because they're very slow and I can watch a movie and interact with them a little bit. Other snakes behave differently, of course. However, that's when I know that the snake is not it's not stressed, because it's just chilling. It's moving around slowly. It's in no hurry to go anywhere. And that's when you can really, spend those 10-15 minutes, and sometimes even longer, because time flies, right? If you're holding your snake and it's not really moving and you're watching a show, time really does fly. The snake kind of understands that you're no longer a predator. You're not there to hurt it. You're just there. You're just kind of there. Alright? So, overall, snake bites, as long as they're non-venomous, if you want to get a rattlesnake or a cobra or whatever as your first snake, you're going to need a lot of experience and training, hopefully. But for the rest of the snakes, ball pythons, colubrids, bites are really a non-issue. Of course, there's caveats, like if you got a giant anaconda, if you got a giant reticulate python, a giant Burmese python, obviously those guys carry a lot more punch to their bite and need to be, their behavior needs to be understood very well in order to avoid getting into trouble with them, right? However, us standard people that are into ball pythons, them corn snakes, cane snakes, small snakes, bites are never an issue. They shouldn't be an issue. You shouldn't be scared. And bites, if anything, leave for great stories of that one time your heart almost leapt out of your chest. So I think snake bites are kind of endearing, as long as it's doesn't lead to anything serious. Alright, so this has been Redcore Exotics. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Hope you like and hope you subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you.